Hi, my name is Keola, also known as the Flatbush Barbie. But who are you, though?
I am Nicole Nicholas, co-owner of Aunts and Uncles, plant-based cafe in Flatbush, Brooklyn, otherwise known as Little Caribbean.
Thank you for joining me today, Nicole. You are one of my good girlfriends, and I am grateful to have you here today. And for everyone that knows Nicole and knows Aunts and Uncles and are a fan of the business, the brand, this is the woman, this is the aunt behind the business.
Yes, the auntie.
The auntie.
The auntie.
So I've always, we always talk about all things that are going on in our lives. And I definitely wanted to, have you on and kind of have you share your experience creating this business that has been thriving. And because I don't know how many people know, this is a business that you and your husband started during the pandemic,
yes.
Much less. And I kind of just wanted you to just walk us through what that experience was like, because I'm sure it wasn't a cakewalk.
No, it was not a cakewalk. And I want to say thank you to people like you who gave us the opportunity to share the vision of what we had or what we saw Aunts and Uncles to be. I remember before we even had the cafe, you invited us to a Good Girlfriends network, and we were able to share the food at the event, just giving people a taste of what Aunts and Uncles would be and could be. So I'm so grateful to you and so many others who supported us during that time. I think Aunts and Uncles had been so many iterations for Mike and I before it was actually that. But when I married him back in 2010, he had already had a brand called Brooklyn Sky straight out of college. We started dating, and I just, like, naturally, I guess the person that I am, saw this man with this, this dream. And figured, like, this shit is dope. So, how can I be part of, we only dated for a year before we got married. So already, I was already in it, know. My background before then was event planning, concert, production and things of that sort. So meeting him with the clothing brand and trying to get myself acclimated with what that was and what that world was like. Just kind of combining parts of my world and just how we existed as a couple, just coming from really big families and just always having a full household and wanting people to feel welcome and, fed. So we kind of implemented that in the space. Even though we were selling T-shirts, it was always a vibe on Nostrand Avenue. Like, then when we were younger, it was Hennessy and mac and cheese and jerk chicken, so spending that time and understanding that we were growing and transitioning, and, sometimes projects begin, but they don't end. You don't necessarily end. Well, being entrepreneurs, I would say, there's always an idea, something great to be done. So, the iteration of us being married and taking both of our interests and putting them in the same space is where the seed was planted for Aunts and Uncles for the most part.
That's beautiful. And would you say that when you guys met, like, there was like a natural fit with what you guys were doing based on your backgrounds did you guys make it like, this makes sense?
No, we both came from big families. We always had people over. We both enjoyed food. We enjoyed cooking. We enjoyed entertaining. So it was nothing for us to be able to kind of mesh our ideas together and make things happen within the space.
And I love that you brought up that the point of, that we like to, like, as being from having Caribbean backgrounds, like, feeding people is such a big part of who we are, making people feel at home and feeling like they're a part of what we have established or like part of a family.
Yes.
Like, because that definitely comes through in the business. If you haven't been to Aunts and Uncles, it's very much feels like home. It just has a welcoming and almost like a calming feel. Like, it's got great vibes. The music is good. The drinks are good. The food is amazing. I tell everyone, I've never sat and had vegan food before I met you guys.
Right. Wow.
Never. And I think I would say the first time that we met, it was at Risbo, and you guys were telling me about, you're going to start a vegan restaurant. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. What's that? Like, I don't want to eat any cauliflower, let me tell you right now. But you guys have changed, because all of the food, literally everything on the menu is delicious. the first time I took my daughter, the taco, I got her the taco, and she was just like, "This is so good." And I was like, after she finished, I was like, there was no meat in that, and she was like, "What?"
Yes.
And then now the heirloom pasta is her favorite because kids love spaghetti.
Yes, they do.
So this is a wonderful spaghetti option. She, she goes crazy for it. So, even being able to, for you guys to create a menu that, if you don't know it's vegan, you can easily have, people indulge and lick the plate clean, and they had no idea that they just, had a vegan meal.
Yeah.
So, that is definitely a big kudos to you guys because the menu.
Thank you. Even when we were sharing the concept of opening the cafe, and the food was never supposed to be the big part. We just knew that
really,
and we just knew kind of by law, in New York City, when you're having alcohol, you need to have some form of food. So we created this light menu, but we were like, no, like I had already lost 2 parents to cancer.
I'm sorry.
When we started, actually, when we were building the restaurant, we had to leave here and go home and bury my mother because she passed away. We had went home for that week, and Mike was back here building, and she had passed. And so just the thought of thinking about and being intentional with the menu, we talk about like high blood pressure in our community, you name it, diabetes, whether it be cancer, such a large, it's pretty much taken over, you know? So we were thinking, okay, well, how can we get people to eat a little healthier? Not necessarily telling them to be vegan, because even if you look at how we describe aunts and uncles, we describe it as plant-based.
Yes.
But it's just like getting back to plants. And, we don't think about, especially as being Caribbean, we don't think about how much we already do eat a lot of vegetables.
Right.
But this fixation we have with having to have meat on our plate to make food taste good or be good or complete a meal is, I think, where we get caught up sometimes.
Yeah.
So we really took the challenge of, using vegetables and seeing, okay, well, how can we create these meals with the same flavors and the same finesse as we always do, that we've always eaten, and therefore I think we have pulled it off.
Absolutely pulled it off. Yeah. You've been in many like established and publications, and you've gotten the support of your New York
Magazine.
Times.
Yeah, it's been
you guys
crazy.
Are everywhere, and rightfully so, because like I said, the food is incredible.
Thank you.
My best friend, Brittany, every time she comes, she
comes and visits us.
She's
That's
like,
true.
I know if you guys didn't exist, she probably would not come to see me. But there's a benefit to living around the corner. And she's like, we're going to aunts and uncles. I'm like, I know. No. Don't worry, it's already
grateful to her too for the support. Since
she
we met her at Good Girlfriends, she's been a big supporter.
Because her and her at the time fiance, they came, and they just recently, last month, they were here, and we got to bring him to the restaurant for the first time.
Amazing. Did he enjoy?
Yes. And, he was like, I remember meeting them.
Yes.
And I was like, this did not exist at that time.
Exactly.
And so it was good. And I got him to try the chicken bites.
And did he enjoy them?
Oh, he loved them. The chicken bites are delicious. That sauce.
Nice. Well, I have to say, it was a combination. We used maple syrup, which is from Toronto.
Nice.
I'm from Toronto, so Canadians and the maple syrup.
Absolutely.
So we did that and connected it with a little bit of heat, and it's called our hot maple sauce.
It's so good.
Yeah, it does really well on the chicken bites and the chicken sandwich.
Yeah, though the chicken sandwich is delicious.
Yes.
I've converted a few people with the chicken sandwich because usually if somebody's like, oh, let's meet up, I'm like, oh, you can get an aunt, and they're like, oh, well, let me see what they have there, because no one wants to go anywhere and they can't eat. And then I'm like, don't worry, you'll find something.
Yeah, what I hear the most is about people always saying vegan food doesn't taste good or plant-based food doesn't taste good.
Right, so because they immediately think tofu, or at least that's what and tofu.
For a long time, that's all it was. But they've made so many progress in the plant-based world, and it's just working with plain old vegetables, you realize they can do so much. Mushrooms, carrots, every vegetable you can think of, you can do something with. It can mimic something. I think more so it's flavor and texture that we care about, not necessarily the fact that we're eating a piece of chicken. Because we always give the example, like, you eat a piece of chicken, it has nothing on it. What does that taste like? You would never eat it, you know?
Cardboard.
Or, you understand? So it's just like, it's not really about that. It's definitely about the flavor and the love that you put into the food.
And you guys got tons of flavor and love just running all through your menus. So
thank you.
Thank you for introducing us and to giving us those options, because, you know, a lot of times we're not thinking about that. We're like, you know, I just need to check the box of eating. So
it's the balance, you know, when you really think about how much it takes to break down just one piece of meat, or, you know, in your body. Most
of us are not thinking about it. I'm
like,
the amount of time. I'm just going to get halal on the way home and call it a day, because I just need to check the box that I ate.
That you ate. And that's a lot, you know, it's interesting to see that we think that way. But just bringing, you know, to light, like, we don't fuss about purchasing that $1,000 pair of shoes so people can see how much, you know, that we own that thing, or that we can afford that thing. But spending money on our health and our body is like a second thought. It's like, it's too expensive. But what do you think is going to sustain you to even put on that shoe?
Listen, the amount of people that don't have health care right now.
Exactly.
It's like, you better start eating right.
And that's what this is built on. You know what I'm saying? It's just like the more unhealthy we are is the more money that it is for the machine or the industry, the health industry, you know? Part. So we don't really think about things like that, you know? So.
Well, I'm glad that we at least now have more
at
options.
Least one space, you know? Well, we have many spaces. Shout out to a lot of people who have taken the challenge and created really beautiful vegan food, like, you know, Ross plant-based. You have Greedy Vegan. You have so many people in the space that have taken the chance on plant-based food, and it's really good. And we have options for people now. So, yeah.
Delicious options, Caribbean options.
Caribbean options at that.
Options too. With flavor.
Yeah.
You don't have to be like me and be afraid of the tofu anymore. But what was it like starting a business and being with your partner every day? And how do you guys create that balance between work and personal, and, you know, keep it strong, because without, you know, strangling each other, that's just a me thing.
Listen, there are days when I'm sure we both want to strangle each other. I think, you know, Mike and I we're very different, but we're very alike. And we hold space for each other to express, you know, our creativity and our interests, and we support each other through that growth. So, you know, every day is not a walk in the park, you know. Definitely being entrepreneurs and business owners, there's times when you're up and times when you're down. And as much as you understand there's the business and the marriage, sometimes the two, you know, can clash in the sense where things aren't going right with the business. So at home we're uneasy or tense and, you know, or frustrated, and that can sometimes pour into it. But we have to try, we always try to be able to re-separate ourselves and find, you know, balance through it all, you know. It is, it's a pleasure to work with Mike. I'm not going to lie, you know, and sometimes it's frustrating too, because, you know, he's a creative. He always has been. He's definitely been an entrepreneur longer than I have. And so acclimating myself to be an entrepreneur has been a challenge. You know, I've always been in the workspace. You know, you have your paycheck every week. You don't have nothing to worry about. Yeah. And, but he's definitely taught me how to take a chance on myself and take a chance on us. And so far it's been working. You know, you walk in faith. Yeah. You know, not always by sight. That's the truth of it all. And you're always going to have wins and losses, but you know, to keep going is just what we both have. So we can push each other when he's 80 and I'm 20, or when I'm 20 and he's 80, we just kind of keep that balance.
I just realized that you're talking about percentage of input,
not input, because you don't
not
have
the age difference. They're not 60 years apart.
We're 3 years apart, not 60. But no, you have to, you know, because you're not 100 every day. Yes. And you just have to respect that. There's days when he wants to talk about work, and I'm like, listen, I don't care nothing about that cafe right now. Just leave me alone. And he's the same, like, oh no, Nicole. Yeah. But I have to understand that we can't be upset, because everybody needs space, and we even need space from that space, you know. And
you guys are good about taking space from the space. You guys spend quality time. You travel, you attend different events, and you kind of just like you regenerate your energy to pour back into the business.
Yeah, for sure. And pour into the community too, because there's so many people that support us that have things going on. And although I'm very much a believer, like, you can't make it to everything, people kind of have to understand you're human, but we still want to be able to show our support, you know, because that's how you make the dollar roll and go around, and how we are able to lift each other up, you know, with all the great things that all of the people are doing in our community.
Right, and I also, you know, I always, you know, I'm a big supporter of,
especially.
You know, for me, I just like seeing people win.
Yes.
You know, I've you know, ventured off into entrepreneurship before, and
Yes.
I understand how not easy it is.
Yeah.
Especially when you have a family, you have bills, you have, you know, there's always something just on the horizon. So, you know, just being able to feel supported and feel encouraged is, you know, a big part of what gets you through to
Of
the
course.
next, get you over the next hurdle.
You can be discouraged. You know, you think, oh, I'm just going to rent this space and the people
Everyone's
going to
show up
and I'm, you know, it's just going to be wonderful. And then, you know, you have your down seasons where people are not eating at all, or, you know, the economy is changing, especially since COVID. It's just like the food shortages. You know, you have something on your menu, it's not available this week, or it's like a whole $50 more than what it was last week. It's just that it's fluctuating, and you're still trying to give this same experience all the time, you know, and you kind of have to dance through that in a way where, you know, your staff doesn't feel it, your customers don't feel it, even though you're feeling it.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. You're trying to make sure everyone else is good, and you're just like,
you don't even understand.
I'm cracking. I'm literally cracking.
Yeah.
And it's such an uneasy feeling, and to just have to like still put on a brave face and show up every day because you have people that depend on you. You're depending on yourself.
Yeah.
And you know, that's why I always say, like, I'm willing to support, and you know, because you just never know what kind of day someone is having, especially entrepreneurs. You don't know what they're going through, or who's calling them, or what bill needs to be paid so they can have lights on.
It's very true, and it's so funny. I find myself like, you know, holding customers accountable too sometimes. You know, it's just, we have such high standards for certain things without the understanding that us ourselves fail in many times, and that can be in any experience, you know. So there's some days when I'm like, you know, you might have customers complaining about one thing, and you're just like, you don't even understand what's going on,
right?
You know, and just that, even with the staff, like, I've had to learn too, nobody's perfect every day. So yeah, this person might be A1 one day, and sometimes they're having a bad day.
Yeah,
they've already projected it onto the customer, or the customer came in and projected it onto them, and they want to give the same energy. I'm just like, you know, listen, hey, it can't be like that. I can find understanding, but you have to also understand, like, you're in the business of service.
Right.
This is how you have to show up. This is how I need you to show up for your community and for your people. You know, so it's as difficult as it might be, this is important. You know, like, you never know who's coming into the space, and they deserve the same experience as that person did yesterday when you were in a good mood.
Right.
You know, and sometimes I'm saying to customers, like, you know, you didn't have to write that long ass review. You could have sent us an email like, listen, I really didn't appreciate this experience.
Right.
Or say it to the you know, server, like, you know what, I came here for your beautiful experience. I feel like your energy is not matching that experience right now. And, you know, talk to them.
Right.
I feel like that's more useful for growth both ways.
Oh yeah.
You know,
and there's nothing, there's like no worse feeling than you decide, I'm gonna go out and have a good dinner or something, and they're like,
you know, or you have that person who's definitely not a vegan, or they're not plant-based, and they come and they want everything to be this way. It's just like, you know, you have to be able to accept the experience that you walked into. You might be used to eating meat every single day, but this is not that.
Right.
So what can you pull from this experience this evening that is like, oh damn, you know what, I never knew a heart to palm could taste like this, you know. But it's just, you know, human nature at the same time. I'm happy that it's more good than bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I've been trying to like counter this thought or this feeling that I have where I'm like, I feel like if people aren't complaining, then they don't feel like
good.
They're not. And I get it. You're going through other things, and you want to get rid of that negativity some way, somehow, whether it's like, you know, putting it on someone. Yeah, projecting on someone. And it's just like, I'm like, you just want something you want someone else to have a bad day. Like, misery loves company.
It's very true. And Mike and I are listening to this book now called Gap versus Gain. It's just so random. We started listening to it this morning, and a lot of people exist in the gap like trying to find this perfect thing and being able to complain about all the things that you don't have or that you need to aspire to. Whereas the gain, you know, this one experience, what was the gain? Even if it was a really shitty experience, like what was your gain in this experience? Because that's what you're going to take with you to be able to move on to the next level of something, you know?
Yeah. See, this is why I talk to you, because I'm like, yeah, I have my own stuff that I'm going through all the time. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to look at this, what I'm going through right now as what have I gained from this?
What am I gaining from this? Because it's only that you could take with you for growth, right? If you look at the gap of it, like the bad part of it, you're going to wallow in that. And where's that going to take you?
Oh, no, I'm going to end up...
what's the gain? Where's the growth? Okay.
I'm going to end up hitting somebody. It's going to be y'all going to see me on the news.
Oh, God.
So, no, yes. Because a lot of times they're like, you know, people always say you have to just be the bigger person. And I'm like, I'm but so big.
Yeah.
I'm but so big. How many, knockdowns can I take before you lash out?
But maybe it's not about being a bigger person for someone else. It's about being the bigger person for yourself. So how much will you allow a person to take from you? You know what I mean? Because it takes a lot to be angry. It takes a lot to be hurt. But how much are you really going to give someone the opportunity to take that from you? So...
It sounds good.
It sounds good. Don't get me wrong. It's hard.
It's hard. I'm
it's
like,
hard.
It sounds good.
It doesn't necessarily translate in every scenario. But then again, maybe it can, you know, because it's about the way you see it. It's not really about how everyone else sees it. And I think we feed into more of how, you know, like how everyone else sees it. You know, it's just like you stand in what you see.
Well, that's absolutely it. It's never just, oh, this is actually what happened. It's now how is everyone going to look at it from their perspective? They're going to think they're going to think I'm this person or whatever.
What does it matter? It matters about you and your growth and where you're going to go with that, how you're going to take that and move forward and move on. And that's when I think people see like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, this person is not wallowing in this thing. This person has moved on from it. So why am I still stuck here? You know, it allows people to question their own behavior and their own actions, in a sense.
It's a race to who's going to be better first.
I guess so. Or who's going to be better, period.
Right. Because, you know? I mean, that's what we do in relationships. And we break up with somebody. It's like, who's over it the first. And so it's first? Literally, like, it's the same thing.
I'm through it, you know?
In our relationship, any kind of conflict is like, well, who's over it first? That's the person that we consider the winner.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, you just moved on. You just didn't care anymore. And the other person's like, you didn't care at all.
Well, it's very interesting. It's always different for everyone, right? But I think it sounds easier said than done, but I think we care too much about what the other person is doing. Oh, and not enough about what we're doing, you know? And even in great things, like, you know, even I think in relationships, we're always like, well, what's that person doing? It's like, well, what are you doing? You know, and how is that countering what that person's doing? Does it even align? Right. You know? So, I don't know.
Oh, you're giving us the gems. Yeah, but it's, you know, so for you, and you, like you said, you were originally like had a 9-to-5 and everything was, you know, I guess regimented. How is now being an entrepreneur, like how has that changed you or changed your perspective on business? And just because now you're doing all of the, like, instead of being a part of a business and helping a business grow, now you are responsible for
my own.
Yes.
Or for our own. It's for the most part, for me, it's the space that I always belonged, but I always feared to be. Because when I think back to the times when I was employed somewhere, was I feeling fulfilled? No. There was always something I always felt that I could be doing better, or this particular way, or an idea that I had that couldn't be fulfilled because I had to go through someone to see if that was okay, and then worry about whether or not they believed in it or not. And it's like now I have my own sketch pad or my own coloring book, and I can create it however I choose it to be, you know? So it's rewarding. It's hard. But I'm understanding, you know, as I go with all the lessons that I'm learning to grow in that entrepreneurial space. You know, I think back to like my father, he was an entrepreneur, you know, for many years. when we were younger, he used to work for a cousin of his. They used to import and export like all these things from the West Indies. So like mangoes,
Oh, nice.
all those things you can think of in Toronto. They were like one of the first sets of people to be able to bring produce from the West Indies, until of course years changed later and they have all these laws where you can't bring this and you can't bring that and
Right.
you can't import and export that. Don't know what changed that. But also we had like what we call in Toronto like a West Indian store, which you guys would call here, I guess, the market.
Market, yeah.
Just like a regular
Yeah.
market in the corner. But in Toronto, it's more so they're Black owned, they're Caribbean owned, or like Asian West Indian owned, which was so interesting to see Trinidadian Asians, you know what I'm saying, running businesses then.
Yeah.
And I didn't really understand that I knew what it was to be an entrepreneur then, because I always heard my parents saying, even though my father was an entrepreneur, it was always about get your education, do this, you need to be a doctor or a lawyer or this or that. And I was seeing the total opposite, you know, and came to find that it's almost like that's where I belong. It's my most comfortable space.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we all experience. Our parents wanted us to be a doctor, be a lawyer.
I think it's for that stability, right? Because I think our parents kind of grew in fear.
Yeah.
And in whether or not they did want to do something on their own, it just never, you know, you want the stability, especially when you have children and you need to set things up for them. And, you know, when you think of like what we would call the American dream and how you get to that, you know. But I think our generation is understanding it's not really the American dream. It's just your dream.
Right.
You know,
It's a dream to be stable.
And what that exactly, and you know, navigating what you're most comfortable in and what you can thrive best in.
So do you think that this is your calling and this is where you thrive best?
I don't know. There's some days when I'm like, should I be going to get myself a job?
Listen, the other day I was like, you know what? I need to learn how to do hair. I need to do something
God.
Because this life is...
I think for me, it's more about finding your talents and understanding that you can create an avenue of revenue or compensation. And not saying that everything you do needs to have a dollar sign on it. You know what I mean? But a lot of people don't know that I'm also a doula. So I practice as a doula. So I'm able to help women who are, or families who are, you know, expecting new life. And, you know, for that's something that I love to do. And I can, yes, charge for it, but it's not necessarily the real reason, you know. And then we have the cafe itself. We have a space where people can come. It's like our living room. It's everything I grew up with. Like my parents used to have, again, in Toronto, outside of Black-owned businesses like you see here in New York, you, in order for West Indians to congregate, you would be in your household. So my father was a DJ. We also always had the house parties. My mother would cook, you know, and it's no different. Like I see that in my life now, with the exception of, yes, it's, you know, now the doors are open to
the public,
and not necessarily, only to family and friends. But now the community has become our family and friends. So it feels all the same. And sometimes when you're operating in something you're most comfortable, which is, I've been that my whole life. Like for me, you will always see me figuring out if everyone else is good. And now I do it as my career.
Right.
You know?
No, it's, you know, not to tie money to everything, but being able to, you know, have that, and, you know, that's one of your passions, to make sure people are good and to feed them and to create a space where they feel welcomed. And you got to tie some money to it, get paid for it.
And now, I'm understanding how to make that work for me, because it used to be, we always laugh because that's how our house used to be before Aunts and Uncles was open, and we always say Aunts and Uncles is an extension of our living room. So now it just makes more sense. I don't gotta always clean up after everybody and cook, and you know, but it's, you know, it feels like the same thing. I still exercise outside of the home.
And just, I mean, the space is beautiful. So how much was that you guys just deciding these are the chairs that we wanted, this is the color scheme? Like that was all of you guys?
Yes.
No,
we did work with an architect in order to help us figure out the space and how we wanted it to function and feel like. But in terms of color and furniture, you know, there were suggestions made, of course, but you know, we definitely chose. I got to put tiles on the wall myself. I painted myself. Like, you know, Mike turned into the general contractor because we had to fire the original one.
Oh Lord!
Oh my God, what a disaster!
It's always something.
Oh, you don't even know the half. You know, and when we initially were opening the space, we thought, oh yeah, we're gonna go to the bank, get a loan, and then we did this crowdfunding thing. We're like, yeah, the community, they know us, they're gonna, please. Not to say that they didn't. I am so grateful. There were so many people who did support, but a lot of people also didn't see what we were trying to do. Like, okay, it's gonna be vegan, and you're gonna be able to shop, and a bookstore, and a bar. Right. Like, no one really understood the concept.
That's the hard part, getting people to buy in on your dream.
On what it is.
Like, don't worry, this is solid.
You know, and when we presented to the bank, they were like, oh no, because when you go for these loans, they tell you want to have a small business loan, but really and truly you have to have financials that can double that. Right. Or they need to see all of these figures. We're like, well, how are we going to get this done?
Right. How are we going to do it? We don't have any money.
But in true Mike fashion, and, you know, like I said, he's been an entrepreneur from time. And, you know, thank God he's been gifted with the gift of design. Yeah. And we've always had the brands and the clothing and stuff like that. So we're like, okay, well, how are we going to raise this money? And so he would design, or we would create these pieces. And that's kind of what funded us to be able to now be in Aunts and Uncles.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, one of the last guest, she was also saying that, you know, she started with, she now has her own production company, but she originally started making like body oils, and the body oil, but she was able to sell the body oils, then that money she was able to fund it, use that to fund the production company. It's like, sometimes the large project needs smaller projects for you to get to the big one.
Because when you hit the wall, you have to be able to climb it if you want to keep going. So you have to figure it out. It's just like, you know, when the pandemic hit, how many people found out things about themselves that they never thought they would be doing or could be doing. Right. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, you know, just the power of the mind and faith and just being able to take a chance on yourself, you know?
But I will also just mention that, yes, so after I came to Aunts for the first time, I loved the cutlery. So I do own, I went right, I got all my gold, all of my cutlery in my home. I'm pretty sure, I'm like, these are the Aunts and Uncles knives and forks. They were all right here. So I was like, I should buy my own before I steal Nicole's.
Oh gosh, I'm pretty, girl, I think that somewhere ended up in some people's.
Listen.
Right now, the cutlery, to be honest, is gold, it's silver, it's all kinds of colors.
Yeah, no, it changed colors.
Yeah, because it's just like, all right.
Listen, I'd rather than change color and be clean. But yes, I'll send you the Amazon link.
We want people to be eating off of some gold.
They're beautiful. Cutlery. Listen, I've taken that for every time since I've gotten them. Now it's been since 2019. I've had gold knives and forks since. Yes.
Nice.
Love it. I love that for me.
Nice. I love it for you too. I need to find some more so we can be in one color.
They change color. I mean, they at least you know they're getting cleaned.
But it's the fun of the living room too. It's just like, you know, in your house, you never have 4 matching cups. Things break, some get lost. You end up with like 4 cups. They're, you know, 2 different. It's just it is.
Listen,
what it
at least
is.
you have people that are, you know, frequenting your business so that you can be like, well, maybe somebody took it. I don't know. I always say, I'm like, Zoe, you know, she's throwing them in the garbage.
Well, that's what happens with the dishwashers too. They be throwing things. Yep. The staff, they're busy. It just ends up in the garbage. You would not believe how much time you have to buy cutlery and glassware, which is another thing, you know. But you know, nothing stays perfect the way.
Oh no! Yes. Especially if somebody has their drink and they can move around the space. Oh, they're taking that glass outside.
Things fall, next thing you know, break,
yeah. Oh,
things get stolen. It ain't no lie. It happens, you know. But it's just, again, in entrepreneurship, you have to be prepared, right? Because it's like when these things disappear, you have to find a whole set of money again to go and re-up.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
But I'm happy that it's thriving.
Thank you.
Outside of that, do you have any other passions that Nicole would like to pursue eventually?
Oh my. Well, I like to say out loud now that I'm a writer.
Yes.
I'm saying it out loud so that I can manifest the fact that I'm a writer.
I knew you were a writer.
But that's yes, I do enjoy writing. I enjoy writing fiction. I enjoy just journaling. I love like life stories. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that comes from me being a bartender many, many moons ago, but just being able to have people come and sit and tell their stories. Mm-hmm. And it's so interesting to be living in Flatbush and understanding just the neighbors and the people who live in the community and how they found their way here from the Caribbean and how they own the things that they have or gained all of the things that, that they've been able to grow and build within the country. It's interesting. So I'm a lover of stories. So I hope to be able to tell people's stories.
And did you grow up in Flatbush?
Did not. I've been in New York for 25 years though. So when I left Toronto, first place I landed was Flatbush and fell in love, and I've been here ever since. Yeah.
That's how it happens.
Yeah. It's very interesting because being, like I said, first generation Caribbean Canadian, it's so different than New York experience. Just seeing how people come from the Caribbean and they're able to build, you know, like the dollar cab drivers, whatever they take upon, and be nurses or whatever they choose, and they have homes, and there's like you can go and like 2 blocks down the road and get a mango, or find all the native things of your homeland just in one, you know, just here in our little Caribbean. It was just, I don't know, it was crazy for me. I just never wanted to go back.
Yeah.
So I've been here.
That's my family. They came here when I was 3, and like just being in this like the neighborhood, like, you know, I think all Caribbean people were coming from, when they came to America. You come to New York City, you go to Flatbush.
Yes, because that's the closest to home, the closest thing that is to home, or, you know, just the Caribbean and the culture, and learning the different languages and the different foods, and how we all exist and coexist in the same space. You know, everybody's missing the islands, everybody's missing home, like a piece of the island. Yeah. And for us to be able to be here and celebrate all of these cultures it's fire. Yeah, definitely. Like, you know, I was just thinking that this weekend is Labor Day weekend, you know, we will be out in full force. We shall. And, you know, it's my favorite time of the year here. Mine too. But, you know, I remember, like, when we lived here, when we first moved to Brooklyn, we lived on East 21st Street in Church. And then we moved to Westminster, which is technically Kensington. So technically, I'm not truly a Flatbush, but I started in Flatbush, and then went a few blocks down, and then came back. Made your way. But, you know, a big part of that was in growing up. You know, mommy's gonna send you down the road to go get, you know, $3 worth of plantain. Yes, you can find that. You can't find it, you know, or you got to go to Bobby's, because Bobby's has everything. Me and my cousin make a joke like, my knee is bad. Where are you gonna get a new one, Bobby's? You have to go to Bobby's. Bobby's have everything. You can find everything in Bobby's. Before there was Target, it was Bobby's. Yes, Christmas time when you redo your house and everything, you go to Bobby's for new toilet. They're the only place that have burgundy curtains. Forget it. You can match the whole house. The bathroom curtain, everything. My entire house the entire apartment was burgundy for Christmas. I was like, all right, well, Father Christmas has arrived. But yeah, like, just being able to, like, she want her saltfish, she want her pigtail. Your salt beef, you can find it all, and you're not worried. Like, you know, I grew up in a family, they cook culturally. So you getting cook up, you getting dal, you getting, you know, roti, and you need to be able to get all of the ingredients. And now, like, my mom moved to LA 10 years ago. Barely. No, one time the lady, I was like, the lady said mommy makes black pudding, which a lot of people, you know. I remember that with the Kaiser bun, the little roll. Oh no, black pudding is that's like the blood. Yes, the blood. Yes, with pepper and all that. I remember that. So this lady, but she's in LA, and but she was here, she would make it all the time. And, you know, she can go to the store, she could get her blood, she could get, you know, she got her married man poke. And my whole life, I'm a whole adult, and I'm like, you need married man poke to make black pudding? She's in LA, she was like, I can't make it here because they don't have married man poke. I was like, first of all, I know this is not a real thing. Like, this can't be the name of what it is. So I go and I do my little Google, basil. I was like, they have basil in LA. I can promise you there's basil in LA. She was like, no, that's not the one. It's not the right one. You have to go. She's like, you have to go. Now she's like, oh, go by Bacchus and see, because Bacchus is not too far. Go down there and see if they have it. I'm like, I'm not. What am I going to do with it once I get it? Oh my gosh. You want me to ship it to LA? I'm telling you, we did a food festival out in LA a couple of years ago, and we were doing, did we do the Tivoli taco? Yes, we did. So we were doing tacos out there. So, you know, it's seasoned like a Jamaican beef patty. So I'm looking for all the ingredients, and then found one West Indian store, like a Caribbean market, and like everything was frozen. It was like not fresh. I'm like, damn, like it doesn't exist out here in LA like it does back home, like in Brooklyn, you know. But It's interesting.
But that's all I've told her. I'm like, you've been there 10 years. I'm like, you could start figure out, selling,
exactly,
create your own Caribbean market there, and just having the access.
A lot of Caribbeans out there.
Yeah, and like she's over there, I can't find Cat's Rip, I can't find this. So she'll buy things on Amazon and have it shipped, and I'm just like, or we can just figure out how you can
see how we think.
Yeah,
it was so interesting. There's a woman, her name is Miss Juicy. She's from Jamaica. She hangs out between us and Just Juice.
Okay.
So Mike was grilling today. Just mushrooms and mango and pears and peaches, like he had it on the grill. And she was like, yes, Nicole, if I was younger, I would do exactly what Mike is doing. I'm like, but Miss Juicy, why you have to wait till you're younger?
Right.
You're still here. Like, if you want to do a little grill every now and then by Miss Juicy, why not? She's like, oh, no, I'm too old. But it's just like, I'm happy that we live in a space now when we think of it, it's just like anything is possible. And as long as you have life, you have opportunity. You can do anything you can think of. So at least we think like this, so Zoe could think like this. It's just like you're never too old to do something. As long as you have life, you have the opportunity to do what you want.
Absolutely.
To live,
Yeah, but it's, it's easy once you start getting to a certain age, as a woman. I'm a woman in her 40s, so I'm quick to be like, oh yeah, I don't have
like that, not anymore?
Yeah, I'm like, not anymore. Yeah, maybe if it was 10 years, I've started to do that 10 years ago. This would have been my
girl,
thing.
Don't ever do that. No,
I'm trying, but I'm like, it's just, getting through it. It's like a lot, and just thinking about starting, even starting another business or anything. I'm always like, I got to go through all the stress and the frustration that I've done before. Like, it's discouraging. But then that's why I say it's having these conversations with people and seeing. That no one is, having just things handed to them. Yes. Like, that's important because, that perseverance and that, passion for what you actually want to produce is.
There's no way around the work.
There's no way.
No way to cut through it, around it, past it. You got to do the work.
It's good. If you don't, it's gonna meet you where you at.
Exactly. It's gonna match what you put into it. So you got to do the work. Yeah. And
sometimes you're going to do a lot more work than the reward is worth.
Expected. It's true.
I'm like, this is all. I'm like, I used to tell you, I'm like, when I would throw those, Good Girlfriend events, I'm like, I've put a lot of money into them. And I'm like, I hope y'all know I don't get much out of this. Basically, I'm throwing a party for y'all.
Pretty much.
I'm throwing a party for you guys.
Pretty much.
I'm not experiencing the wealth that you think is happening. And we were talking about this earlier, when you are an entrepreneur, you do have even a little success, even, you get some media coverage, automatically people think you're doing so, you have to be doing well. You were just in this magazine.
Might come for that month because they just saw that article, last month or during this time. But still, how many times you think this one person is going to eat because they read this article? Right. So it takes a lot more than just those little things that amplify the business.
I do think with a lot of, even with like all the social media, yes, is a great, medium to getting your, for marketing, like, or, I would say just, I'm trying to say, like, it's less expensive than, big, like
paying for certain advertisements. Yes. Yeah.
But there's a certain level of, especially with like influencing, people are going because they want to showcase that they've been somewhere and then when they're done, they're not
really worried about that.
Yeah, they're not coming back every week, and they're not spending their money every week, and they're not doing something or bringing business every week. But for that moment.
Yeah. Which is why I think that's why it's so important to be intentional about the experience itself. Yeah. So it's not just about this space that everyone else has been to that they saw on Instagram. Right. It's what you felt, what you ate, how that tasted, what the experiences was.
And the community part of it.
What the community part was that makes you say, okay, you know what, that place feels like a safe space, or that's somewhere that I want to be, or where I feel like I could get my work done, or I can create because I feel inspired. So it's just touching all of those, those buttons, those spots.
And it feels like yours. Like, I know when I come to aunts, you know, I like the bar. That's my seat. So if I come in there and somebody's sitting there, I'm like, all right, they got about 10 minutes before I start being like, hi, so how long are you going to be here? Because that's my seat. That's actually my seat. Yeah. So yeah, like just having that sense of, you know, like this is also mine. Yeah. Like, you know, I was saying, I think I must put this on Threads the other day, like when your friends have a business, there's a part of me at least that feels like my friend's business is my business too, because I want them to be as successful as that success, you know, means something to me as well. So yeah, I will pour into it, and I will, you know, that will become something that of you. Yeah, it's important. It's important.
Yeah, it
because
is important.
I wouldn't be happy if it didn't succeed.
Yeah, and so even if the, you know, the members of the community, like, it's important that you know what their names are and what they do and who their kids are and how their experiences was. You know, they come and tell you that they're doing something this week or they're taking vacation. The next time you see them, you want to know how the vacation was. Like, what's going on at work? How come you look like this today? This is not your energy all the time. Like, I feel like a lot of spaces don't take that, are not that deep with the connection to the customer.
The connection is important.
That's what's important.
Very
always
important.
Has been for me, you know? So, yeah, I think that means something because it takes a lot to make $1. And it's very, you know, when people spend their dollars, you want to make sure that they feel like it's worth it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I remember that's something I always would think about. Like when I had my events, it was like food inclusive, open bar. And that the price you pay is the price you're gonna. That's when you get there. Unless I'm doing like a vendor event, I don't plan on you spending money once you get here. Yeah. Like, you know, you come in and you enjoy and you take something away from the experience. But I'm, you know, if for me, I want you to come and eat and have a good time and, you know, have this be a memorable part of your day instead of it being like, oh yeah, and by the way, when you get here, if you can spend $60 on top of what you just spent for a ticket to pay for drinks, and now you're like, oh, well, you know, I already had one drink and I don't want to overdo myself and I got a budget, and those are all the things that go through people's heads, but you know, it's not all about the experience. It's all about the experience and feeling getting. Like, you know, valued.
Exactly. The value of it. Yeah. You know, and sometimes it's not all about the dollars that you spend. It's just like you don't even mind. You don't even see it because you're having such a good time, or you understand the purpose or the cause of what's really happening in the space. You know.
Yeah. There's always just so much going on. I feel like as the people who are, the people that are involved or doing the producing part of it, you know, we're worried about the money because we have to spend the money to make the thing happen and for it to execute it in this way that we envision, because the vision that we have also is very important. Once it's not
that way,
then we're stressed out the entire time, although no one else knows that this was not the way that it was supposed to be. You're just like, you're melting down and everyone's having a great time.
Right.
I've had way too many events where I'm just like, that is
you
not
don't even know.
And everybody else is like, oh, this is great. And I'm like,
yeah. But there was supposed to be like such and such here, and
there was supposed to be a whole DJ. We were not supposed to be listening to my Apple playlist, but
it's all right. I'm
glad you're having a blast. I'm like, Kirk Franklin is about to come right on this playlist. I'm sorry, but we gotta make it work today. But a lot of it is just making it work.
Yes.
But you know, that's also a testament to the producers, because you know, you just got to make things work so that people aren't just leaving with a negative experience, because they will complain.
They will
complain. They will ask for their money back. I've had an event and had
storybook.
Someone come right up to me in the middle of the event and was like, I don't feel like I've gotten my value from this. And I was like, what's your name? I was like, you'll have a refund before you leave there. Trust me.
And truth be told, it's often the people who don't see a good experience in anything.
Most likely.
Because sometimes we investigate. When we see those really bad reviews, we're like, well, what would take this person to write this storybook? And then you look and you see that they've done reviews at other places, and it's the same thing. And it's just, unfortunately, people who are never really happy with the experience. And who really should just stay home. But, you know, you get that, and it's fine. You know, people create in their minds what the experience is supposed to be, other than actually soaking in the experience that it is. You know?
You can't make everyone happy at the end of the day.
And that can discourage you. So you have to, you know, understand you put everything into it, you put your heart into it, those who are meant to receive it will. You know, you always get someone unhappy, but that's just life.
In everything, because yes, in business, you sometimes you just got to give the refund.
You just got to do it. You're
that's one
like,
thing.
All right.
I remember my hairdresser, Jillian, she would like she, you know, has customers and people would come. And then, you know, every now and then there would be someone that's like, I was supposed to be in the chair at this time and I have this to do. And then they're upset. And this is what she would literally say, I'm sorry that the experience was not what you expected. Yeah. And she would do their hair and she would be like, have a nice day. And they'd be like, how much do I owe you? She was like, nothing.
Exactly.
And she literally, she told me,
when you go to the salon as a woman, a black woman, you're going to be there for some hours.
Right.
Just the way
and
it
she
is.
just, and she, you know, that's something she told me. She was like, I don't invest in negative energy. Yeah. So if you're telling me that you had an expectation and I didn't live up to it,
it's fine.
It is fine. I don't need your money.
And it's going to come back. It's going to come back.
That's exactly what she taught me. And that's something that I've internalized, and I'm like,
it will come back.
I will refund you so fast,
and you will experience. There's gonna be 5 more that had an amazing one,
right? And it's like, and you know, and the same like if you buy a ticket the next time, I will happily refund you your ticket because I've already asked you your name and I've given you a refund. It's okay. I don't want your negative energy. I don't want you to have to go through what you went through before.
No, don't. Please, by all means, here's your money back.
Here's your money back. Yeah. We don't have to do this.
Yeah, it's very true.
Because that's not what we're trying to do. That's not especially when you're trying to build community and create spaces where people feel like themselves and feel welcome. And here you come.
Yeah, I'm telling you. We were I forget where we were the other day, and there was a customer of ours. He was with his mother, and I met the mother for the first time. He's like, oh, it's my mom. I'm like, hey, how you doing? You know, such and such. And she's like, I've been to your restaurant. She's like, I didn't like none of it. She's like, and we saw the write-up, and me and my girlfriend came, and we came, and I didn't enjoy nothing. And I've been a vegan for how many years, or whatever the case may be. I said, well, I'm sorry that you didn't enjoy your experience. I was like, well, you know, is there a space that you can suggest to me that you've enjoyed the food?
Right.
Maybe I can try, or, you know, even get some pointers from them to see, like, hey, you know, what are they doing where I can, you know, be better? She didn't have not one place that she could have said she enjoyed food. Well, and in my mind, I'm like, you know what? That space doesn't exist because it's just that doesn't exist for you.
Right.
You know, and I'm not going to allow that. Like I said, for every bad review, there are so many others.
Right.
So many more people who share and have had a good experience. And, I can't let that one woman discourage me from what is happening in my life.
And everything is for everybody. So
exactly,
at the end of the day,
it can't
it's
be
like,
for everybody.
all right,
There's things that I don't enjoy that people enjoy. I might not be the one to be like, I didn't like it.
You weren't vocal about it, but you like,
I might not. In my mind, it's just my silent choice. Like, okay, this was cool, but I don't have to come back.
Right.
But you know, it's just like everybody. You know, you just always have. There's always a few.
That's why Yelp is a successful as it is, because people get a platform to complain.
To just complain.
And it's like, I'm sure, you know, when I created my app, Haber, it was an app for people to share their experiences, and even in that, you know, having the idea, we would talk about, you know, what to expect. Like you talk about a lot about the expectations. Like, we didn't want it to be a place where people were just complaining about. We wanted you to share the experiences so that you could be helpful. Yeah. But then, you know, it was like anticipation. We're going to get way more people complaining than people saying they had a great experience. So we have to be ready for that.
You will. And I'm all for the complaints, but it's just like, okay, how do we move forward from this complaint? How do we rectify? How do we fix this?
Right.
Is it possible? If you can't see a possibility, then
and that's the difference between complaining and having constructive criticism.
There you go.
Because with constructive criticism, you're actually...
There's growth from whatever that is.
You're actually... what you're sharing, there's, you know, examples of why it wasn't
exactly
the experience that you anticipated.
Exactly.
Instead of just, I was having a bad day and I thought I was going to get drunker than I anticipated, and I did not. This was just not what I expected. I could have stayed home.
It's
and you should have. And you should have. Really, but truly. You know, you are amazing. The fact that you can look at things from that perspective, and, you know, speaking to you, I can recalibrate in a sense, because I think for myself, I'm a person that, you know, I try to create balance, because my Caribbean pit bull is a very predominant. That's my aura at the end of the day, because my mother was a strong woman, and you know, when you say a woman is strong, what you really mean. My mother was a strong woman, and she was very vocal about what she didn't like, and I definitely have that. So just like looking at things from the other side and saying, okay, I could handle this with grace like Nicole. And not go try to fight these people at their place of business.
That's so funny. We were chatting the other day. Ethan was like, "She's at 100." Oh, she's not anymore. It's just like I try my
You're
best.
rarely at 100.
Very
like
rare.
no,
It takes a lot.
You're passionate, but not in that sense. Nobody's gonna get you out of character.
No, not really. It doesn't happen often. And even when it does, it's just like, oh nah, I allowed that. No. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't give.
But that's why you can always call me. I'm just up the block.
There you go. I'm
like, listen, if you need a pit bull, I don't know how it's gonna turn out, but just know it's probably not gonna turn out well. It's not.
Oh my gosh.
But that I'm fierce about the people and the thing.
About.
Yeah, I'm like,
yes.
Listen, if we need to fight, just let me know.
It's so funny if it doesn't have anything. It often doesn't have anything to do with me. I'm more protective than anything else. Like I will fuss over another person before I will fuss about something for myself. That's just the way it is. When you're protective, like your soul and spirit is protective, you'll freak out when you see some kind of like injustice. And I'm a Libra too, so it's just always like, that's not right. This is not fair.
That's why we get along. The Libra Aquarius thing.
Air.
But yeah, the Libras are the calm of the side, because you got us and Geminis.
Yes.
And the Geminis, they just.
Oh yes, girl. Married to one. So.
And the Aquarius are the pit bulls.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Listen, we're ready whenever you need us.
My mother was one, so I'm very aware.
We're ready whenever. Just send a text message. I'm like,
very,
okay,
very aware.
I'm ready.
It's on.
Oh, it's on. But if I feel like when you need at least one person in your corner that when it's on, just to even if you're not going to take advantage of them, just to know that you have that protection.
And to say like,
if
hey, you're being taken advantage of.
Right.
Like, wake up.
So that's definitely like why I think we gravitate towards each other. And, outside of the fact that we live in the same neighborhood and we have similar backgrounds and we like to build community. For me, it's just always a pleasure sharing space with you.
Likewise.
To come into, you impart so much knowledge and grounding.
We always have some good talks.
Oh, yeah. We can't give you those good talks,
no,
but
that's for us.
That's for us.
But I'm happy
time and place.
Know, right? And I'm happy to know we have each other to be able to do that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We go through a lot of things in life, and just knowing that you have a community is important, and knowing that you have people that have your back. That's also very important and grounding, and can help you get to the next level of the things that you want to achieve. And so before we go, how can people find you and also find the businesses?
Okay, so we are Aunts and Uncles. We are located at 1407 Nostrand Avenue between Linden Boulevard and Martin Street in Little Caribbean. We are actually right next, 2 doors down from Little Caribbean.
The storefront,
The storefront. So that's super fun. We call it the hip strip. That's
yeah,
what Shelly gave it the name, the hip strip. And our Insta is at Aunts and Uncles. Mine is Nick, NICNICH. And we are always looking forward to seeing new friends and meeting new people and gaining new cousins. So this was
next
fun.
time we're gonna bring Mikey on too, so that he could talk about. He could tell us the truth. He could be like, she be in the house throwing broccoli.
You see this scar? No, definitely not. But
I'm like, that's you throwing the hearts of palm at the man.
No, I throw the hearts of palm. But no, that'll be fun.
Yes, but this was amazing, and I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Bye.